Hi there. My special guest is Younni T. Yes, that's her name, as she explains.
Well, the name is trying to be a little bit more unique than just spelling it the regular way, UNITY. It stands for, or it represents you, YOUNI. So you and I, and the T is for together. So you and I together, that's what I'm all about musically and try to be in my everyday life, bringing people together and good vibes and fun. So that's where the name came from.
Born and raised far from the land of soca, chutney, pan, and calypso.
Born and raised in Wisconsin, USA, tiny
You were
little
born and raised where?
in Wisconsin with the cows and the cheese heads way up in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the forest with the cows and the chickens and squirrels and deer and bear. That was my original stomping ground.
So you can shoot? You can shoot firearms and so on?
I shot a firearm once and it kicked my shoulder so hard I said no more.
Uni, I understand you do have a background in music theory.
I taught music for 5 years. I went into I have a music education degree actually, and I was teaching music, general music, kind of a global music. I kind of invented my own program where I just kind of took kids around the world and showed them music from everywhere. In addition to that, I had taught a percussion section. So I had steel pan, African drums. I called it like a global rhythm section, and taught kids how to read music so they could play steel. Hopefully, helping them then get scholarships to different colleges that give out those sorts of perks for students who can play and read music. So I made sure to teach them a little less traditional. Sorry, but I taught them the notes so they could use that information to further their education and just so they could play anything as soon as it was handed to them.
That is awesome. I also understand that you've worked with some very talented but incarcerated artists.
I also did music inside the juvenile detention center in Miami. We brought some beats, pre-recorded beats in, and let them take a stab at rapping and kind of expressing themselves musically to kind of work through whatever it is they were going through that got them into incarceration in the first place. So music's what I do. It's what I love. I try and put it in everywhere I can. Right now I just teach reading right now, which that's fine too, but I throw in music whenever I can because if something's going to stick in your head, in my opinion, put music to it and you'll remember it longer and probably enjoy it a little bit more than just reading from a plain old book. So yeah, I use it in everything I do, whether it be my music, teaching something else. So it's my other life.
We are hanging with Unity today. There's a lot to this very talented sister. For instance, Uni, you've taught people to play the steel pan.
Okay, so here's what like here's how the cosmos work for me. Like things just happen. I literally did not plan on teaching steel. I did not plan on rhythm sections. I had a totally different music program, which was exploratory music. Kids could sing, dance, um, they could rap, they could songwrite, they could produce, they could do whatever they wanted. And I didn't have any instrumentation because a lot of kids either can't afford it or they refuse to practice because, today's world is fast, fast. Nobody wants to spend time learning. You don't want to blow in a tuba for 3 years before you can, play a song. So it just so happened that I got my hands on a set of steel pans that were just laying around. And since I actually used to be a saxophone player, I knew how to read notes and I knew how to match the notes to the steel and figured, hey, if I can teach kids to match notes to steel, then they'll be able to play too. I do not, you know, claim to be any sort of real pan player. Like you could not put me in Panorama. You could not put me on a stage and be like, here, rock this out. It's like, no, I can put two and two together and make four. So I did. And it worked out really, really well. I was lucky that I was at a school that catered to Caribbean students in the Caribbean community, and they were thrilled with the opportunity for their kids to be able to learn steel pan. So, of course, I wasn't going to deny them that opportunity. So, they came to me and said, would you teach it first as a club? And then it was so popular, we turned it into a class. And it just kind of evolved out literally out of nothing. Like it wasn't even on my radar. And then poof.
I saw you knocking iron in a rhythm section, and I was like, wow, impressive.
one little moment of one of my videos, me jumping in a rhythm section in Trinidad this past year. And they gave me some iron sticks and said, do your thing. And I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. So let me just, do what I think I should do and, catch a vibe. And that's what happened.
From the woods of Wisconsin, folks, Younni T to TNT and the world, singing soca, playing pan, knocking iron in an engine room. Okay, Younni, which came first? The chicken or the egg? That's the question.
I'm going to clarify and back you up just a little bit. Actually, I didn't touch steel. I didn't touch rhythm until I learned about soca music. So soca brought me to the culture. I went to Trinidad, took in panorama, went to I've been to New York, seen that panorama. And through the culture of soca music, I've learned about carnival, and through that, steel and how it all ties together and goes together. So I knew what a steel pan was, but I had never had access to one because in Farmville, USA, there aren't a lot of steel pans rolling around or rhythm sections getting down. So I learned about it through soca first. And then when I went to Trinidad, really got just completely addicted to it. And then when I was, again, given the opportunity here to share it with other people that didn't have access, I said, heck yeah, I'll do the best I can. Like, I can't promise anything, but the kids really loved it and it went really well. So soca was first, and then getting into steel came after.
Thanks for clearing that up. You seem quite involved in our music.
Well, here's the thing. I have sung literally every type of music on the planet except for like death metal. Like I've literally sung everything. I was originally in school I was always singing. I was in choirs and I was in show choirs and musicals and that sort of thing. But I grew up extremely sheltered in the world of opportunities. So I heard what I heard on the radio. I could tune in, on TV and, see music, but it was very, very limited.
Interesting. I guess you were born with a performer spirit. What engenders you to soca music?
What I loved about soca is that it was something I had never heard of and something I had never heard. So in my mind, thinking there's a genre of music out there that I don't even know exists, and now it's being presented to me as an option. And then when I got into the culture that went with it and understood like the whole carnival thing and how it ties everything together, I said, this to me is something that the whole world should know about. And I want to get in there and see what I can do to kind of push that train in a direction to get everybody aware.
I appreciate that. Thank you. What was the first soca song you sang?
The very first soca song I think I ever recorded was called Show Me a Dollar. I think it was called Show Me Your Dollar, Show Me the Money. Oh my gosh, that was way back. That was way back in 2008 or 9, maybe that far back.
Is the Trinidad and Tobago patois a challenge for you or even a thing to worry about?
Nobody cares about the accent you have unless you're a white girl doing soca.
Ah, boom,
Then,
kaboom.
honestly, it was completely new territory. The producer I had said, okay, listen, if you're going to do soca, then Trinidadians and people that love soca are going to expect you to sing with the accent. So it wasn't just jump in a booth and do your thing and bop on out. It was, all right, now you're going to learn an entirely different accent than the one that you've spoken your entire life. And you have to deliver it in a way that sounds believable and acceptable and respectful. And so when I got done with that first song, I was like, whew, I'm glad that's done, because it wasn't just, what I'm used to when it comes to singing. You just, start the song, whatever comes out, comes out. And there's no, music is music and it's supposed to be not, good, bad, right, or wrong, but there's definitely a wrong way to do a Trinidad accent. And there's a wrong way to represent music that doesn't come from the background that you come from. If you're going to put it out there and say, I love this kind of music, there's a pressure and a weight to do it justice and to do it right.
What is performing on stage like for you? And what was it like the first time singing before a live TNT audience?
The very first soca performance I had, the very, very first one was at a tiny little club in Miami for Carnival. And I can't even remember the name of the club. They threw me on, like I was just there and somebody didn't show up and somebody said, hey, We heard you do soca. We have a slot. Do you want it? Sure, okay. So I jumped on and did one of like, and it went over well. Like I was completely blindsided. I was, I knew the song because it was my song, but it went over well. I hear that, some people get things thrown at them or booed off stage, but I lived to tell the tale and it went well. So that was my first actual performance of soca in Miami.
Okay, how about performing live in the Mecca, Trinidad and Tobago?
My first performance of soca in Trinidad was on the Roxy Circle stage. Back, it was Stag was the sponsor, and it was back in I think 2013 maybe. And the person that was kind of managing me in Trinidad at the time handed me the microphone right before I went on stage and said, "Don't embarrass me." So I went on stage and everyone was standing there kind of dumbfounded, like deer in headlights, as we say up north, just like stunned at what was happening and what they were seeing. And I had one, God love him, intoxicated man that thought I was the best thing since, I don't know. And he was waving his flag and his rag and he was in it. So I was like, okay, yes, my brother, it's me and you right now. Everybody else had to catch up, but it was good. I mean, it went well. Everybody applauded. They thought, okay, we saw it. It was not what we expected, but we didn't hate it. So I took that as a win. And that was my first official Trinidad performance in Roxy Circle for the Stag stage.
How do Caribbean, Trini, etc. audiences react with and to you?
The audiences for me in Soca have always been amazing. I have never, and I say that in hopes never to jinx it, but I've never had an audience disrespect me, mistreat me. Um, I've been so blessed that all these years I've been doing this, the audiences have been amazing. Whether it's in the US, whether it's in Trinidad, they embrace what I'm bringing because they understand that I'm attempting something that's never been done. And not in soca, it's been done in calypso, as we know, but in soca on a long term. Some people have breezed in and breezed out. I know there was a German couple that came and did like a song and here and there. But as far as like a stick to it, ride or die artist, they understand that, I'm attempting to do something that's never been done. And I think even if it's not their cup of tea, even if it's not their favorite style, they respect that enough to say, okay, let her have her time. Hopefully, they think I have a mini ounce of talent that says, okay, we can see why they put her on the show and you can love it or hate it and leave it there. And that's okay. Like, I'm fine with that. So the audiences have always been amazing. A lot of the times I have people coming up after and saying, keep doing it. Oh my gosh, do your thing and keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop. So that's always been a huge, boost and an incentive because on the flip side of that, it's not the people in the audience that sometimes try and give me a run for my money. It's sometimes people in the actual soca industry.
Tell us about that.
So I've had DJs that stop playing my music in the middle of a song that I'm performing. I think just to see if I'm actually singing or see what I'll do. I've had MCs introduce me in ways that are sort of, to like make fun of me and make it seem like I'm some kind of a joke and I'm some kind of like this, bimbo white girl come to do soca. And, they want to like make me kind of like mock me and make fun of me. But you don't I don't do this because I take it lightly. I don't do it because this is just an easy breezy thing for me to jump in and do and everybody loves it and it's oh so great and we all live happily ever after. This is for me kind of just a personal mission to say the power that this music has and the power that the culture behind it has to bring people together of every race and place on this entire planet, I think is so important that it's worth me getting knocked down and having to get back up.
That is beautiful and admirable. Do you have a vision for the art form?
What I would like to see is I would like a Soca Grammy. Not because I want a Soca Grammy for me. I want a Soca Grammy because the day a Soca Grammy is won, it will mean that Soca has made it to a space where everybody is aware of it and it has crossed into the mainstream line of fire and awareness And hopefully, from that awareness, the culture of oneness will come with it, because a lot of people see soca as it's depicted in, social media. And in my humble opinion, it doesn't showcase the beauty of the actual carnival experience. It shows, the wuck and wine and the juk and whatever. Cool. That's all part of it. Great. Have your fun. It's amazing. But to an outsider that doesn't know, if that's all they see and that's all they see it as, some people will gravitate to it and some people won't.
So, even though you are relatively new, coming from a place as distant as Wisconsin, you've been doing a tremendous job.
I've been called a soca music ambassador by many people in the industry in a positive way, and I cherish that and I thank them for that compliment. And I try and do my best to uphold that vision of what I believe I'm here to help push and represent. Um, if they decided to back me 1,000% and say, let this girl loose for real, for real, for real, for real, for real, I think the sky's the limit in that lane. Also, the American music market, audiences and industry alike, if they get a listen of what I'm doing, even if they're not familiar with soca, not familiar with carnival, not familiar with, culture and all that, and if they grab hold of anything that I do, I'm just kind of standing there right now. I'm kind of at this space where I have all this music in my hand and in my heart and in my head and in my soul. And I'm just saying, who's ready? So whoever's ready for whatever, that's where I'm going. As long as it's soca and as long as it's, representing what I've been working on, trying to accomplish all these years, as far as, bringing the attention back to Trinidad, where, I catch the vibe from and what I spin off of. I've had, people come to me and ask me to do other genres because they think, well, maybe it's not a good fit for you. Maybe you should do something else. To that I say, nah, I've been in this lane this long and I want to keep going in this lane because I want people to hear this. I don't need them to hear another country song, another pop song, another R&B song. Love it all, but you heard it. You know what it is. Been there, done that. You have the t-shirt. You don't need that from me. For me, I feel like I want to share what I have, which I feel is a bit different, a bit unique. And so whoever grabs it wherever, I'll go 15 directions at once. If you want me to, just say the word.
Younni T, folks, a truly beautiful and talented sister. Younni, have you ever played Mass?
I have never played Mas ever. Um, I feel like the time will come when that is. I don't take playing Mas lightly. I don't know. For me, I grew up in the North Woods. There was a Native American reservation very close to where I lived, so I had a lot of Native friends. I have family that's Native American. And that cultural aspect of adorning yourself as part of a ceremony, they see it a little bit differently. Um, it's much more appropriate only for certain people at certain times in certain ways. And I know for a lot of people, it's just, put on the costume and do your thing. And that's great. To each his own. If you're in that comfort zone and that's what you want to do, more power to you. Like, obviously that's what it's all about. For me personally, I feel like the day will come when I say, now's the time. Like right now, I'm much more of a throw on my tights, throw on my t-shirt, rock my USA gear, rock my, Trinidad ambassador stuff and kind of mesh it all together and go out and have a great time. But I haven't done the full blown extravaganza yet. But I will say I was in Trinidad this past year and I stood in front of Yuma with some friends that were picking up costumes and I thought, woo, gorgeous. And maybe that time's coming that I might feel like I'm perhaps worthy to put on the full blown thing and take it from the inside.
Awesome, isn't she? All right, that's a wrap for today. Thank you, Younni T. Follow Younni on her socials. I'm Young the Goose Elegant. Stay tuned for more.